My name is Benjamin Button, and I was born under unusual circumstances. While everybody else was aging, I was getting younger, all alone.
Guys, this week on The Real DVD Watchers I'm going to be reviewing The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. This movie came out last year, just recently been released on DVD, Blu-ray in the UK, and I finally picked it up. Never watched it when it was in theatres, so the first time I watched it was on Blu-ray. And first, straight off the bat, I want to say that this movie looks amazing in Blu-ray. If you're going to pick this up and you have a Blu-ray player, or have the opportunity to pick it up on Blu-ray, I highly recommend this. I haven't seen the DVD version, but this one just looks so amazing in HD. It's just wow. You need to pick this one up on Blu-ray if you've got a Blu-ray player. But anyway, the movie itself, as you probably know, it's about a man named Benjamin Button, who's played by Brad Pitt. And Benjamin Button is a bit different to normal people because he ages backwards. So he's born an old man, and gradually through his life, instead of growing older, he grows younger. So he is brought up, well, first of all, his mother dies during childbirth, and his father is pretty disgusted by the sight of this old-looking baby. So he leaves it on the doorstep of I think it's sort of like a retirement home, and basically a woman that works there picks up the baby and takes it in as her own, and he grows up as an old man but in a retirement home. So it's quite strange in that way that he's surrounded by all these old people and he looks like an old person, but he's a young person inside. It's strange, but he does also have all like the ailments and stuff as an old man. So he has like arthritis and things like that. But then, as he grows up, he grows young. He starts to grow younger, and soon he's able to walk. He can run. It's kind of like the same stages of a child, but as an old man. So it's kind of one of the things that stands out to me about this movie is that it's kind of shows that there is a loop in a way, I guess, in life, that whether you start off as a child or an old man, you go through the same sort of stages, I guess. So yeah, I thought that was quite interesting. But anyway, like I said, Benjamin Button, he meets a girl whose name is Daisy, who's played by Cate Blanchett. I think it's Blanchett. Some people say Cate Blanchett. I'm not sure. Is it Cate Blanchett or Cate Blanchett? So I'm just going to say Cate Blanchett. And she plays Daisy, and she, again, it's really interesting to see her because the movie actually starts off, I should probably mention this, with Daisy in hospital, and she's with her daughter, and her daughter has Benjamin Button's diary, and Cate Blanchett's character Daisy asks her daughter to read Ben's diary to her as she's dying. So you kind of you're in present day looking back at the life of Benjamin Button, but at the same time it's narrated by Brad Pitt as Benjamin Button, because he's narrating the diary parts, if that makes sense. I'm doing a terrible job of explaining this, but anyway, so yeah. Ben first meets Daisy when she's about 4 years old. She's visiting I just realised half my face is now Cate Blanchett. She's visiting, I think it's an aunt, her grandmother or an auntie or something at the retirement home, and they become friends, but it's also immediately like frowned upon because he's this old man and he's playing with this girl who's 4 years old, and everybody just thinks it's weird. But for him, he is a child in an old man's body, I guess. He meets someone who he has a connection with, but is frowned upon. So years later, when he's older or younger, whichever way you want to look at it, he meets her again, and they kind of they do such an amazing job. I should mention the special effects. You know, I could go on for ages about the special effects in this movie because they are amazing. The way they make Brad Pitt looks older is really great. But in particular, the way they look younger towards the end of the movie, you get like a teenage Brad Pitt as Benjamin Button, and they did a really good job on that. But even more so, I think Cate Blanchett, who's kind of overlooked, I think, because you always hear them talking about the effects of, you know, how they made Brad Pitt look old and stuff. The way they made Cate Blanchett look young, they make her look 17, is just amazing. You would think that it is actually her 17 because she's a dancer in this movie. And part of the movie is that there's an accident and she can no longer dance, which is when Ben becomes a bigger part of her life in a way. Because they kind of, one of the things that happens is they meet in the middle, so they both meet when they're the same age, and then they kind of go off again, and Ben gets younger, and Daisy gets older. So it's kind of quite a tragic love story in the heart of this movie as well. But it's a really interesting movie, and it's a great movie about this character's life, and you meet all these amazing characters along the way. One of them is played by, I think her name is Tilda Swinton? I don't think it's going to say on the back of here. But Tilda Swinton. She played like the Ice Queen in the Narnia movies, and she was also in Burn After Reading. She's been in a lot of stuff. She's one of the kind of minor characters in this movie that Ben meets along the way, and she's a really great actress, and she does a great job in this. And he meets some other characters as well. I'm trying to think of a few, but there's this one of my favourite scenes in this movie is there's a scene that leads up to the accident which causes Daisy to no longer be able to dance, and you see all these events that happened that led to her being hit by a car, pretty much. I don't want to ruin it too much, but yeah, and it's just such an interesting way of building up to that scene, and I loved it. I thought it was one of the best scenes in the movie. The ending is also really good, and I've heard some really negative reviews about this movie, and I don't agree with them at all. I think it's brilliant. I think it's a really well-made movie. It's a movie that it's just nice. It's a quirky little movie, you know. It's not little, it's like 3 hours long. But it's one of those movies that does not feel 3 hours long. It goes by a lot quicker. And I just really enjoyed it. I just sat back and enjoyed this movie. I thought it was really good. If you haven't watched this, then I recommend you give it a chance. I think it's a really great movie. If not just to see the special effects, because they really are really well done and worth seeing just for that. Because they are, you know, you don't see this thing happening in movies a lot. You know, there aren't that many movies that deal with I don't know what I'm trying to say. It's an original movie. I like it. I mean, obviously it's based on a short story, which somehow they managed to make a 3 hour long movie out of. But I really enjoyed it. I have nothing bad to say about this movie. I mean, were there some dull moments? Maybe one or two, but it's not good. You know, there was never a point in the movie where I was like looking at the time, or you know, I think in my opinion a good movie is one that you lose yourself in and you don't really keep a track of what time it is. When you suddenly like glance at the clock and think, oh my god, like 2 hours has gone and I'm really enjoying this movie. I think that's a mark of a good movie, and for this movie did that to me. So you know, I lost myself in it and I really enjoyed it. So I think I've said enough about this now. Highly recommend you check this one out. There's probably loads of other things I could say about this film that I've missed out, some really obvious things as well, but never mind. Highly recommend this movie, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Go and watch it, and leave comments if you've seen it, if you want to watch it, if you hated it. I would like to know. So yeah, thank you for watching. Next week I'm going to review something else. I don't know. I haven't really planned ahead this week. I mean, last week I knew I was going to review this, but next week I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to review, so look forward to that.